You're listening to a podcast by Oak Magazine. I would like to acknowledge the Dja Dja Wurrung people as the traditional owners of the land on which this episode was recorded. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.
Welcome to A Friend of Mine, a series of conversations with some incredible and inspiring women in business from regional and rural Australia. I'm Kimberly Finesse, your host and the founder and editor of Oak Magazine, and I cannot wait to introduce you to some amazing female entrepreneurs who will share with you their experience and knowledge of what it takes to start, grow and scale a successful business. So let me introduce you to a friend of mine. Have you ever wondered what's happened in the life of a previous podcast guest? Well, in this special catch-up episode, we speak with Sarah G from Curium Legal. Sarah was on the verge of throwing away 15 years of training and hard work as a business and commercial lawyer before deciding to forge a career on her own terms. She launched her business, Curium Legal, in 2020. We first spoke with Sarah in March 2022, episode 36 if you want to go back and have a listen. Since then, Sarah has won Bendigo Business Excellence Awards Young Professional of the Year, seen a 40% increase in her business, and has welcomed a new team member, her husband. We talk about the juggle of little kids and business, the stigma of working from home, trends in legal advice, what it's like to work with your husband, and Sarah's goals for 2023. Let's catch up with my friend Sarah from Curium Legal. Hello, Sarah, and welcome to the podcast. This is a very special episode that I'm calling The Catch-Up. So revisiting a few of our favourite friends to see what you've been up to since we last spoke, to give everyone a little bit of an idea of where we are and sort of what situation we're in. It is literally 2-3 days before Christmas. We've both got kids. So you can imagine where the stress levels probably are,
Yes.
just crawling to the end.
Yes.
But we're also pulled up in just a little bit of a paddock, I suppose, that backs onto a state forest. And it's a beautiful day. We're in the shade. We have the doors open. And, yeah, just enjoying this moment to probably reflect on what has been a massive year for yourself since we last spoke in March.
Yep. It's been full on. And I think that that's a common story sort of across the board with everybody that I'm speaking to, that personally and professionally it's just been full on, getting pulled in lots of different directions. So, yeah, I've certainly not been immune to that.
Now, since we last spoke, we could have introduced ourselves as award winners. Yes, you are an award winner, which is so exciting because these things aren't just gifted to you. It's not who you know. There's a lot of hard work that goes in behind the scenes to these sorts of ones. So you are the Bendigo Business Excellence Awards Young Professional of the Year.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep. And congratulations to you on your award also. As you say, it's a mammoth piece of work.
Yep. So young professional, how old did you need to be for that one?
You have to be less than 35. So I've just crept in. I just turned 34 just after I received the award. So, yeah, I think maybe by virtue of the fact that I was one of the eldest applicants might help.
Oh, my gosh. I just like what you've squeezed into such a small period of time and where your business is at, you know, at 33, 34 is incredible. So tell me a little bit about the award. Why did you enter it?
So I had been working with Nat Dowling from Words on a Page around telling brand stories. So that's something that is well outside my natural skill set, having worked for other people for a long period of time, and I needed a bit of help. So I spoke to her, and basically part of my homework was to enter the award as a way of telling people what I do and really exercising that muscle around talking about myself and my business. So when I let her know that I'd won the award, she said, A+ on the homework.
Obviously, Nat is a big part of Oak. She's one of our writers, has been probably from the get-go, to be honest. And I've spent a lot of time with her working on probably my brand story and literally any minute I can get with her just to chat. She's able to articulate things really well and draw things out. And I mean, not this is a plug for her, but honestly, if you want to do a business brain picker, get in touch with Nat. Like, it's just the value I was thinking even for myself, my application for the AgriFutures was 11th hour, like literally got it in at 11:50, 8 p.m. and, it closes at midnight. But I think, and I didn't start till 8 that night. So, you get tea finished and you just get the kids down, that witching hour is done.
Yeah.
But the reason why it was slightly easier to do that was because of the work I'd done with Nat.
Yes.
Understood who I was, what Oak stood for, where I wanted to take it, just all of those questions that,
Yeah.
Was there any questions in your awards pack that that tripped you up at all, that you sort of struggled with, or was there a question that you really loved?
I just find it incredibly awkward speaking about myself and what I do. So I think that that was the muscle that I needed to be exercising that really spoke to Nat about. I don't think any of the questions in particular were that. None that I can think of, really. It was just working my way through what I do in a really systemized way and fitting it into these categories, which I found actually really helpful because that's how my brain fits anyway. So it was like taking all of this spaghetti mess in terms of how you think about your business and then putting it into the nice little boxes, which works for my brain anyway.
Yep. And what sort of kickback have you got from winning the award in terms of your business? So was there anything that came with that? Was there a monetary or some mentoring or anything like that? Or have you noticed an increase in your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So it doesn't come with a prize as such. It's more around the reputation or the legitimacy that you receive. And I really found it as a stamp of approval on my business that other people have noticed. And I saw a pretty instant 40% uptick in the work that I was doing. So I think a lot of people had sort of been sitting back and going, oh, we know Sarah, we know what she does, but what is she doing working at home? Like, is she just working around her kids? Is this a real business? Or, is she actually doing something legitimate? So I feel like this was a stamp of approval to say, she is really setting a solid foundation for what she's trying to accomplish and has these really clear goals and aspirations. And really working towards that and doing a good job of it. So it was nice to have that sort of external stamp of approval that other people have taken to, really.
Love it that you talk in third person. I do that sometimes. But I love that little bit about working from home and oh my gosh, I'd be so interested what other people think. Do you think we're taking less seriously because we do have home businesses? Has that changed because of COVID, because so many people are working from home, or is there still that stigma?
I think at the beginning I did really find a bit of stigma, and I think it is probably attached to the fact that I had babies at the same time. So it is kind of that how can a woman, probably in particular, be focused on her business while she's also raising small children? And I think, we'd like to think that we've got past it as a society, but I think we do really see that attachment between mothers and their babies and why are they back at work and what is wrong with them if they want to be back at work. And I think people don't consciously hold that belief anymore, but it is still a bit of a subconscious bias that you need to actively work against. And it's in my own brain as well. I really had a battle when I started wanting to go back to work that, why isn't it enough for me to stay at home with my babies and be happy with that? I don't need to go back to work and it would be okay if I took a break. But for me, there was something that I didn't want to stay at home full time. I wanted to have a blend of business and babies. And does that mean that there's something wrong with me and my femininity?
Yeah, no, my gosh, you're just, speaking everything that I think my inner dialogue has done over the last 16 years with 4 kids. And it's probably taken to the last one, to feel okay about that. So the first 3, David stayed at home with them, probably in daycare a little bit more, whereas the last one, I was home a lot more. And it's interesting. I mean, this is sort of not where I thought the conversation would go today, but I was speaking to someone this week and they were just saying, look, I'm going to pull back from work because, I want to spend these early years with my kids before they go to school. And it sort of got me thinking, I was talking to my husband about it, like, why is it as women that we think that that is the most important time that we need to spend with our kids? And I don't know if it's because I've done both that I have a different view of it, but you're not missing out. Like I just think, once they do go to school, there is still so much time that you have to spend with them. There's so many things that they do need. There's still that bonding aspect. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent on you, Sarah, but that's where my headspace.
Yeah, no, my husband and I have had so many really deep, tricky, frank discussions about this year as we've been making decisions for our family, and where we really got to was that with building the business and saying yes to opportunities, we're really setting ourselves up for a flexible business that will last their entire childhoods. So while that might mean I spend, about 4 days a week with them at the moment, they're out at daycare 3 days a week. What that means is that I'll still be able to do that when they're 12 and when they're 15 and when they're 18, rather than perhaps taking a part-time job now but having to work full-time when they're at school.
Yeah.
And that old saying, small people, small problems, big people, big problems. I don't want to be completely immersed in my work and not have the space to help them as they get older as well.
I think I love that about having a business myself over the last few years. Like I keep saying to my husband, I should just go and get a real job. It's like, you have a job, but do you know what I mean? And
it grows and contracts with you.
It does, but it is the flexibility that, the boys might have a sports day and I can go to that, or, they have basketball and it might be that we leave on the Friday.
Yes.
Like my business allows me to take off those extra days that weekend to spend with them and catch up when I need to. And the same as the littlest, in grade 1. I mean, they've got lots of stuff that's on that you need to dip in and out of.
Yes.
But I do think it makes when you're working for yourself at home and you're not there all the time with them, they come to depend on both the parents, not just the one.
Yes.
So, I like that part that, there's not just one that they come to all the time.
Yes.
But speaking of husbands, yours has joined your business.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
Yes. So as part of those discussions that we've been having this year, we really came to a realization that the business was growing quicker than we expected, and that was a positive thing. But it also meant that I was being stretched too thin, and that wasn't sustainable, and it wasn't actually hitting the values of why I started the business. So we tried every combination of in-home help and meal delivery. I certainly could give 3 months of my life to dinner ladies. They cooked us dinner for a long period of time, and just trying to manage all of the things wasn't going to work. So we spoke about taking on an employee, and realised quite quickly that would actually just be adding another person to my responsibility, which would be unfair on me but also on them, and my ability to mentor and help them as part of their career. So, we started to think about whether there was an ability for him to work part-time, and there wasn't with the business that he was with. So then we thought, well, maybe there's actually an ability for him to help me with Curium Academy that I was developing at the time. And so, we made the leap that he would come and help me, and we would start to balance that parenting as you were speaking about. So both of us can jump in and out of the business, we can jump in and out with the kids, and we have that flexibility to both. It's almost like having the best of both worlds. And we're only 4 weeks in. I think we're still in our
honeymoon period, absolutely.
But no, we're really loving it. And it's so nice for him to have that time. And I really think of it, it's tricky with an almost 3-year-old and an 18-month-old to describe it this way, but I almost see it as a gift that he gets to have that time rather than being gone, 50 hours a week like he was and be able to spend that time.
Oh my gosh,
with them.
it'll be such a special bond that they do create. With Dad growing up like that, absolutely. Like my kids know Star Wars and planets and dinosaurs that, from David that was never going to happen with me. So
that's right. Yeah.
So what skill set does he bring to the business?
So he comes from a sales background, and most recently he was a leading hand in a manufacturing role in a flour mill. So we spoke about, milling is not really a transferable skill. However, his really good skills, which also match in with his personality, are those caring for people, the sales, and really those leadership skills. So the things that he'll be able to bring to Curium Academy is that working with small business owners and nurturing them through the process and really listening to how we can develop resources to support those small businesses. He's also incredibly artistic, so he brings that sort of creative side to our web development and video editing and that sort of process. And also him sitting in the background of Curium Legal also means that there's another person that knows the systems, knows the values, and can really work with employees as we do continue to grow in imparting, those values and those systems with other people that work with our business. And he can keep that sort of knowledge and share amongst which it doesn't all rest with me, which is lovely.
Have you had a discussion about some ground rules? So we don't talk about business after, 6 o'clock or while we're making tea or anything like that?
Yeah, no, our accountant said that's really important. So she said probably the best thing about our relationship is that we have such young kids because we've got something else to talk about, which is great.
Yep.
And probably the kids are that demanding that you couldn't possibly have a business discussion whilst they were around. So, we do. The rule that I've had for myself for a long period of time is that I work in my office and I don't work anywhere else. So when I go into that room, it's, work time. And when I leave that room, it's kids and whatever else.
Yep.
But we do have the same rule. So if he's in the office, we can talk about work. And if not, we just go off and do our own thing.
Yeah. I must admit, moving my office, like my desk space, from one space that had an open door, if that makes sense, like it was sort of part of the open plan, into I kicked the kids out of their toy room.
I love
and
that.
my husband out of the gym. So it was a toy room gym, like just there, you're out, peoples, and moved into that. But to have those doors on there, it was, you can step out and shut the door and that's done.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like work when you walk into that room.
Yes.
And it looks like work as well with boxes and mags everywhere. Yeah. But no, that's good. Tell me about your academy and where it's at and what it's all about.
Yeah, so when I started my business, most of the values that I had and what I really wanted to focus on was making the law accessible for small business. And while I've been able to achieve that to a large extent, and one of the ways that I do that is by working from home and, reducing the overheads, which mean that I can charge less. One of the other things is still those fees can still be out of reach for small business. So in developing the academy, what I really wanted to do was offer a package that is affordable for small business, that they can pick sort of areas that they might want to know more about, that they'd love to talk to a lawyer about but don't want to pay hourly rates, and they just want to work through in their own time. So most business owners, you'll find they carve out maybe Friday mornings to work on their business. So this the tutorial videos are really intended to be sort of 40 minutes that you can learn what do I need to know about trademarks in that Friday morning that you've already got set aside, and work through a whole topic, fill out a worksheet and figure out, do I need a trademark? Do I not need a trademark? Can I DIY? If I want to DIY, where are the free resources that I can go to figure out how to do that? And also giving a prompt for this is the stage that you do actually need a lawyer. So it's really, I find small business owners get so overwhelmed with Google, and I'm not immune to that. If you want to learn anything, how to make an Instagram reel, for example, you can find 50 different ways. on Google and 100 different apps that promise to do what you want to do. But it's really hard to wade through all of that information and find out what's right for you. So this the Academy is meant to pull all of that information into one area and just point you in the right direction for all of the reputable resources, what you're looking for, what you need to do, and get it all done in sort of one session.
Yeah. And the other thing is we're talking legal as well. There's sort of a little bit of a bigger ramification or if you do something wrong or download the wrong app in that sense compared to an Insta-reel. But that trademarking's a huge thing. As I said, probably the last time we spoke, I still need to work on that. My God. So it's on the to-do list. It's been a year. What are some other really big things that you've seen in the last probably 8 months or so that people or businesses are focusing on in terms of legal?
Probably the biggest trend that I'm seeing at the moment is just change, and we're seeing really this continuation of the Great Resignation or whatever title you want to put on it, where people are just kind of throwing grenades into their lives and doing something new. So what I've started to see in the last couple of months is more people who have started businesses because they thought that that was the flexible option, realizing that it's not as flexible as they thought it would be, and actually going the other way and selling their business back into a larger structure. I'm just seeing a lot of still that seeking flexibility, recognizing burnout, recognizing anxiety and depression levels are quite high, and the World Health Organization is saying it's up 25% just this year. I just find people are making changes designed to support their life still, but that is looking different to what it looked like 12 months ago when people were starting their businesses. And I'm not sure if that might be a sign of the economic times in terms of people, getting scared by rising interest rates and rising costs of living and wanting that stability of a salary again. It's really just looking. People are still looking at the external factors and what their job does for them in meeting their lifestyle goals and their other goals as a human, and making different decisions to what they were making a year ago, which is really interesting.
Definitely. Business is for the brave. It's not a walk in the park. So I'm going to actually spring a pretty big question. I must admit, so people might not know, we actually send through questions, like just thought starters generally, to help people through a podcast. And that's because I like that. Like I need to know which files to get out of my head and what ones to prepare for. And especially if it turns into a deep conversation, you need to be prepared for that. I haven't done any of that with you this time, so
that's all
sorry.
right.
And I'm going to pull one on you right now. If you could describe this year with one word, what would it be? Or you could use 2 words. So, like for me, mine would be success and I want to say struggle or suffocating. Like it's been a really successful year, obviously from the highlight reel, like with awards and everything that's happened. There's been some amazing things. But in the background, it also has been suffocating. Like it's been a real struggle. Because with the highs have come some pretty big lows. So
probably picking up on those same themes. There's been a lot of celebration. That little meme that you see all the time about small business owners doing a little dance every time you buy from them. I mean, I can't even count the number of times that I've celebrated a win like that this year. But the juggle has been incredible. I thought my husband and I have always had this joke that we need a wife. And that's been before kids, and that's when we were just trying to juggle 2 careers, and then we've thrown a business and 2 kids into that mix now. We well and truly need a wife, but that juggle has just become extreme, and we're sort of trying to do our best to invent something that works for us in managing that juggle as best we can. I think the same as you. It's just, for everything that everybody sees, that's your win, your progression, your growth. Behind the scenes, there's someone in a ball in the shower, going, how can I do all of this?
Yep. And when people say
Yeah.
you're killing it, for me, that's probably the worst thing you can say to me. Like I just,
Mm.
because then I'm like, well, yeah, you might see that on the front end, but
Mm.
yeah, I'm not in the background. And then it's like, well, what am I doing wrong then?
Yeah.
And that, oh my God, how else am I going to get through this so people don't see this part? And yeah, and I know we should share, but there's things that you just don't like,
Yep.
that you need to deal with yourself and try and figure out, where
Yeah.
that little puzzle piece fits or,
Yeah.
how to articulate that. But
Yeah, and that's the burnout. And, you know, Beyond Blue actually has their own small business section now.
Yes, they do.
So I think that that's recognising that this is not something that's a feature of women in small business. It's not a feature of regional women in small business even. It's just small business owners generally, and we're stretched very thin. And I guess I work with small business owners every day as well. So my exposure, I mean, same as you, is dealing behind the scenes with people who are probably, when they're speaking with me, they're making big decisions about changing things. And you get to see a little glimpse behind the curtain as to what's going on. And yeah, there are absolutely people killing it, but also they come to me when they've got employees leaving, or they're having trouble with suppliers, or you know, you don't see that as an employee. You don't see all of those things that a small business owner carries and manages and stresses about.
And especially at Christmas, I think like this is the hardest part. Everyone, like some are having their Boxing Day sales already. And I mean, you can look into that as you will. That probably says a lot. But also I'm on the side of it. I mean, I package a magazine and send it out. You just can't, that's hard in itself. The price is astronomical at the minute. And you just can't keep passing that on to the customer because they're not going to pay for it. But also the delivery of them. We were just saying you haven't received yours yet.
No.
Yours was probably one of the first ones to go out. You live literally 15 minutes from me. I should know better. And I suppose it's got to a point for me in my business where I just can't drive around delivering them all the time. So, you know, when it got to taking me 2 days to deliver locally, I'm like, I don't know if I can, I don't know if this is a good use of my time. But, you know, it is what it is. And I suppose if someone said to me, would you swap it or what else would you want to do? I don't really have an answer. Like I still love what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. That's exactly what I say to people every day. If there is another option that hits your values in a way that's different, go for that. Be brave. Make a change. If that's going back as an employee, go for it. If that's starting a business, go for it.
Yeah.
It's really just about being real with yourself and what your values and your needs are, and figuring out what's the best option and realizing that changes over time too. And it's okay to change.
So to wrap us up, what does 2023 look like for you? What are some goals that you have on your big vision board?
So 2023 is going to be my real education year. I think I allowed myself to get a little bit too distracted by the workload with Curium Legal this year and the juggle that we were speaking about, where I haven't been able to be as strategic as I'd like to be. So 2023 for me is a lot of speaking opportunities and seminars and working on these tutorial videos, which will be launched in February. And yeah, just developing all of those resources for small business and really driving home that education and accessibility values that I have and focusing on those. So yeah, by the end of the year, there will be sort of a 10-part series through the academy that you can go through, hit all of the 10 key topics a small business owner needs to know about. But yeah, we'll be launching with 4 in Feb.
That's exciting. So very exciting. So for everyone, I mean, most of us, I don't know if we actually switch off. I've been getting like 2022 wrap-up emails since the 1st of December. I can't deal. And people keep saying, are you taking time off? Well, not really. Like it is, but it isn't. Like face, you know, sort of that public speaking and the media, that's all done and workshops are all done, but still so much to do behind the scenes. And I think everyone's like that. So probably with this space that everyone has to be more creative, maybe that is a time to sit down and just have a look at those terms and conditions on your website. Does everything tick a box? And, trademarking, if that's something that you think you really need to do, what does your branding look like? I mean, start on those little things when you've got some space and put things in place for next year. And one of them would definitely be to get in touch with Sarah. Obviously, you'll find all her details in the notes section of the podcast. But, if you're not doing it, I'm definitely there. I've got to get trademarking before it bites me in the arse.
One of the other things, I guess, that probably hits on everything that we've been speaking about, business sales, succession planning, and just that burnout as a business owner, trying to figure out a way to put your business on paper that makes sense to somebody else, that they can walk in and know what you do and where to look for things. That's probably the biggest tip that I'd have for 2023. It's really, if you get hit by a bus tomorrow or, you break your arm and don't want to go to work for a period of time because you want to recover or if you want to take a holiday, some way of getting that on paper that makes sense to somebody else would be my biggest tip.
Yeah,
And that, as I say, is preparing for a business sale, is preparing for a death or disability or succession of some kind. But it's also just creating space for you as a business owner to take a step back.
Yeah.
You don't need
Templates.
to be on 24/7.
Yeah, there's so many templates that we could all do and save ourselves time.
Yep.
Whether they're email templates, sending them out, like with even just looking at your Shopify, I was thinking when someone does a sale and what that actual notification says, like they're little bits that people can improve and create templates and get that brand voice through. And Google Drive's amazing to save everything and even get your files in order.
Yep. Yeah.
I have a desktop Mac that's about to die. But thank God, like everything. Again, I knew that probably 6 months ago, and everything up in the cloud, just starting to make sure I've got it all backed up.
Yep, exactly.
Because I don't want to start again.
No, and just making your business mistake proof and robust so it can survive those real unexpected things that happen.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Well, with our normal episodes, I always finish off with tell me about a friend of yours that we need to know about. I want to know, have you met someone this year that has had an incredible impact on your business?
We spoke about Nat Dowling, which has been amazing. Probably my biggest shout out this year, and it's not a new friend, is Eve Richens. She has just taken on the vice chair role with Bendigo and also changed her job this year to be at Bendigo Stadium. She's just a powerhouse, but behind the scenes, she will say your name in every room she possibly can. And that is so incredibly valuable. And I just really appreciate her friendship, at that friend level, but what she does for women in small business, what she's doing through Bendigo for women in small business. She's my biggest shout out this year for just being a great human.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you don't actually have to own a business per se. So obviously Eve has had some side hustles in the past while she's sort of worked her way, but definitely on that corporate ladder. And I know, I could rave about Eve. We probably need Eve on the podcast. Just from that, just from a different perspective, and even getting that, just her marketing knowledge and she is incredible. But I was just thinking in terms of being a cheerleader but not having a business as such, but it's that mentioning your name in a room full of strangers, like it's that connection piece that we all need. Definitely sending her a Christmas card this year.
She already has my indulge hamper.
Well, thank you, Sarah, for a quick chat and for meeting me in the van and taking some time out from what is a busy time in the lead up to Christmas Eve and getting all the Santa stuff ready. So, thank you very much, and can't wait to see what 2023 unfolds for you.
Yes, for us both. Now back to the gingerbread.
Absolutely.
Now, before you take off with all that inspiration and knowledge, we'd love for you to leave a review on our podcast so that we can continue to amplify women's voices in the media. And if you have any questions, we'd like to celebrate a win, you can always connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Oak Magazine AU. I'm so glad we've met and that now you know a friend of mine.